A beautiful woman on the beach takes off her top, revealing a sexy and hot perfect body. In order to look for a suitable surfing place, Azen has already run alone across the whole coastline. As a senior surfing enthusiast, Azen's skill is indeed very awesome. However, she does not know that a terrifying life and death test is about to come. When Azen was tired from playing and preparing to go back, suddenly she smelled a foul stench from afar. When she followed the smell and swam over, she discovered that on the surface of the sea there was actually a floating whale corpse. This terrifying scene scared Azen half to death. Just when she turned around wanting to escape back to shore, she accidentally flipped over and fell into the sea. At this time, a huge dark shadow slowly swam from below. The next second, it bit Azen and dragged her back into the sea. The severe pain made Azen struggle desperately to resist. The surrounding seawater was instantly dyed red by fresh blood. In panic, Azen used her other foot to fiercely kick the shark, finally managing to break free. Frightened and unsettled, Azen at this time only wanted to reach shore. But when she turned her head, she discovered that she was really too far from the shore. Having no choice, she could only change direction and swim toward the whale corpse. Seeing that the shark behind once again pursued, Azen could only endure the fear and climb up. Although she temporarily escaped the shark's attack, the wound on Azen's leg was extremely deadly. In order to prevent herself from losing too much blood, Azen had to untie the safety rope on her foot and forcefully tightened it on the root of her thigh as a tourniquet. After finishing all this, Azen had not yet had time to take a breath when the whale corpse beneath suddenly began shaking. It turned out the terrifying shark had not left, but was ceaselessly circling around seeking opportunity. Azen knew that if this continued, she would surely be doomed. She began to look around searching for other escape routes. Although on her front right there was a buoy, the distance was too far, she definitely could not swim over. Luckily, Azen again discovered a reef nearby. Although the distance was a little closer, it also could not guarantee absolute safety. Just when Azen hesitated which to choose, the shark behind had already launched an attack first. The woman, encountering man-eating shark while surfing in the wild, with great difficulty found a reef to climb onto. But her thigh, torn by the shark, still kept bleeding continuously. In order to prevent the wound from worsening with infection, Azen took off her earrings, removed her necklace, clenched her teeth, and enduring severe pain, little by little sewed up the wound herself. At last, seeing Azen continuously waving toward him, the drunkard only foolishly smiled drunkenly. Azen, seeing this, became even more anxious. She continuously waved, signaling, hoping the other party could go to her bag and take her phone to call the police. After gesturing like this for more than 10 minutes, the drunkard finally understood Azen's meaning. However, after he found Azen's phone, he actually directly stuffed it into his own pocket. Azen realized something was wrong and quickly tried to stop, but the drunkard completely ignored her, directly carrying Azen's backpack and leaving. Extremely anxious and angry, Azen fainted again. When she again woke up, it was already noon the next day. In a daze, she seemed to see two men appearing on the beach, apparently also tourists planning to surf. Azen, disregarding everything, shouted warnings toward them, telling them there was a shark here. But before they could react, the shark suddenly launched an attack. Although Azen desperately wanted to rescue them, helplessly she was no match for the shark and could only watch as they were dragged into the sea. One blow after another made Azen completely collapse. She lay on the reef watching the shark swim around. Thinking that before long she also would die here, Azen could not help but cry. However, at this moment, Azen suddenly saw on the helmet of the victims there was still a sports camera. If she could record a rescue video, maybe she would still have hope of survival. Thinking of this, Azen's hope once again ignited. She took advantage of the shark circling to try several times and finally got the helmet. But before she could turn on the camera to record, the man-eating shark once again charged toward her. The woman turned her head to find a gaping mouth rushing at her. The woman was terrified and fell into the sea. Fortunately, the shark's body was too big and got stuck by coral reefs, so Azen luckily escaped with her life. As the tide rose higher and higher, Azen knew her time was and then jumped into the sea. Very quickly, the shark followed close behind. At the critical moment, Azen suddenly dived into a swarm of jellyfish, wanting to use her flexible movement to avoid the shark's attack. Although she was stung painfully by the jellyfish, this tactic indeed forced the shark back. Azen seized this sliver of life, desperately swimming toward the buoy. At last, in the final moment, she successfully climbed up. But the shark clearly did not want to give up the prey at its mouth. It fiercely rammed the buoy. Fortunately, Azen tightly held onto the railing and did not fall. After a while, the shark gradually lost strength, and the sea surface once again returned to calm. Seizing this chance, Azen quickly slipped into the middle of the guardrail, again escaping disaster. But the shark somehow went crazy, and before long, launched another attack on the buoy. This repeated provocation completely enraged Azen. She rummaged in the buoy's toolbox, pulling out a flare gun, and fired directly at the shark in the sea. The shot succeeded. This completely enraged the shark. Before Azen could react, the shark leapt high from the water, opening its gaping mouth and biting at the buoy. After a fierce tearing, one side of the buoy's chain was actually ripped off. Losing balance, the buoy could not stay upright and finally overturned on the sea. With no place to escape, Azen quickly hid inside the guardrail. But the shark suddenly attacked from below, madly biting the iron guardrail, as if wanting to swallow the human in front whole. Very quickly, the hard guardrail was bitten apart by the shark. Azen could only use her leg to fiercely kick it. The hurt shark prepared to change direction to attack. But Azen suddenly saw below the sea there were many sharp steel bars on the iron spear. A daring plan instantly came to mind. Just as the shark attacked again, Azen decisively went to the other side of the boat. She forcefully pulled the loose iron chain, using its weight to sink rapidly to the bottom. Very soon, the shark also closely followed. At the instant it was about to hit the iron spear, Azen timely dodged to the side. But the shark behind had no time to react and rammed straight in. Looking at the shark in front pierced into a sieve, Azen at last escaped from this nightmare. She used up the last trace of her strength to swim to shore and was finally rescued by passing tourists. And this terrifying battle with the man-eating shark ended with Azen's survival.